No ID. No signal. No origin. The Empire spotted an object faster than they could track, HFY Sci-fi in the vast empty expanse of space. The Dominion floated silently, its engines dimmed for a rare moment of stillness. The crew, handpicked for their expertise and courage, was accustomed to the quiet. They had learned long ago that in the cold depths of space, silence often meant trouble. Yet, this silence was different. It felt more like a waiting breath. Captain Cole stood at the command deck, his face lit only by the soft blue glow of the control panels before him. He was a man who had seen too many battles, too many wars. Yet this was something else. The crew had been out on patrol for weeks, mapping uncharted sectors beyond the reach of the Empire. There was no expectation of anything out of the ordinary. It was supposed to be a routine mission, the kind Cole had done countless times before. But routine didn't always last. His first officer, Lieutenant Klein, was the first to speak. "Captain," she said, her voice steady but laced with unease, "we're detecting something. It's not showing up on any of our scanners. No identification, no signal." Cole narrowed his eyes, tapping the interface before him. The data on the screen blinked, showing only a few faint blips, too faint to track, but still there. "What are we looking at, Lieutenant?" he asked, his voice calm but sharp. Klein's fingers flew over the controls, trying to make sense of the anomaly. "Whatever it is, it's moving faster than anything we've ever seen. Our systems can't lock onto it." The captain turned to his crew. "Any idea what it could be?" "We don't know," Klein replied, her tone more uncertain than usual. "It's almost as if it doesn't want to be found." Cole took a deep breath. A challenge. That was what it felt like. He had spent his youth on the fringes of the Empire, growing up as a cowboy on a far-flung planet. He had become known for his skills as a tracker, skills honed not just for animals but for the types of men and women who made the edge of the law their home. A man who could find anything or anyone, no matter how hard they tried to hide. But this was something different. "I want eyes on it now," Cole commanded. His orders were clear and the crew quickly set to work. However, the more they tried, the more elusive the object became. It was as if the very fabric of space bent around it. Cole watched intently as the scanners continued to fail, their readings corrupted by interference, and then nothing. The object simply disappeared from their sight. "It's gone," Lieutenant Klein said, disbelief in her voice. "We've lost it completely." Cole stepped forward, his boots echoing softly against the metal floor. "Can you track it by heat signature or anything else?" Klein shook her head. "Nothing. It doesn't show up anywhere. It's like it's not even there." Cole turned back to the view ahead, just the infinite empty void of space. But there was a nagging feeling inside him, something that made the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. The object had to be real. Whatever it was, it had appeared in the blink of an eye and vanished just as quickly. But it hadn't felt like a fluke. He had spent enough time in space to know that this wasn't just a glitch. "Revert to standard scans," he ordered. "If it shows up again, we'll be ready." Klein nodded, her fingers working over the console once more. The crew continued scanning for any sign of the object, but the ship remained still. Time passed, seconds, minutes. And then, an alert. "There," Klein exclaimed. "It's back. Right on our tail, Captain." "Lock on," Cole ordered immediately. His heart raced. His instincts were sharp now, honed from years of survival in the wild. He couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just some lost ship or asteroid. This was something else. A warning, perhaps. The Dominion's engines roared back to life as the crew scrambled into position, the ship's systems working in overdrive to track the mysterious object. "We're tracking it, but it's still outpacing us," Klein said, her voice tight with frustration. "It's moving faster than we can adjust." Cole's eyes narrowed as the object appeared again on the screen, a blur of motion too quick to capture fully. It was unlike anything he'd ever seen. A shape, angular and sleek, almost like a shadow against the stars. It didn't seem to have a traditional hull, no visible markings or insignia that might give away its origin. But the speed at which it moved, it was far beyond any human technology, let alone the Empire's. He turned to Klein. "Increase speed. Set a course to intercept." "We can't," Klein said. "We're already at maximum velocity." "Whatever this is, it's not playing by the rules." "Then we play by its rules," Cole said, with a determination that only came with years of survival. He knew that this wasn't just another mission. This was something that could change everything. Whatever it wasn't from the Empire, and it wasn't from any known alien race. That left only one option, something, or someone, beyond the reach of the Empire. "Bring us into range," Cole ordered. "We're not turning back." For a long moment, nothing changed. The object continued to move, as if it knew they were coming. And then, just as the crew thought they had a chance at locking onto it, the object disappeared again, vanishing into the blackness of space, as if it had never been there at all. "This is impossible," Klein muttered under her breath. "No object should be able to do this." Cole stood in silence, staring out into the dark. He felt it then, the realization that they were no longer in control. Whatever this object was, it was far more advanced than anything the Empire could understand. The quiet that followed was deafening. The crew had done everything they could, but the mystery had only deepened. The object had proven itself faster than anything they could track, outpacing them at every turn. And yet, it was clear that this was no accident. "It's coming for us," Cole said softly. "And it's not going to stop." The Dominion cut through the blackness of space, its engines humming with a low, steady roar. Captain Cole stood at the command deck, eyes locked on the monitors, trying to make sense of the events that had unfolded. The mysterious object had disappeared again, just as quickly as it had appeared. The crew was on edge, their nerves frayed by the strange encounter. "It's not possible," Lieutenant Klein muttered, staring at the empty space on the scanner. "We're still not getting anything. It's like it vanishes into thin air." Cole didn't respond immediately. He was used to the unexplainable in the outer reaches of space. His youth as a cowboy had taught him to expect the unexpected. Still, this was different. No one had ever seen anything like it. "It's there," Cole said after a long pause. "It's still there. We just have to find it." "We're trying, Captain," Klein replied, her frustration mounting. "But whatever it is, it's playing with us." Cole's eyes narrowed. "No, it's not playing with us. It's trying to get away. We just need to be smarter about it." The crew had been on edge ever since the first appearance of the object. This wasn't just some stray asteroid or malfunctioning spacecraft. No, this was something far more advanced, something far more dangerous. And Cole had a feeling it wasn't just avoiding them, it was leading them somewhere. "I want every crew member ready for a possible intercept," Cole ordered, his voice firm. "Prepare the boarding teams and double-check our weapons. I want everything on high alert." Klein looked at him, uncertainty in her eyes. "You think this is a hostile situation?" Cole's face was grim. "I don't know. But I'm not taking any chances. The Dominion had been built for battle. Its advanced weapon systems could decimate entire fleets, but this object, whatever it was, seemed impervious to the ship's scanners and defenses. The Dominion wasn't built for stealth, and yet the object had evaded them at every turn. "We'll find it, Captain," Klein said, her determination matching his own. "And when we do, we'll be ready." Just as the words left her mouth, the object appeared again, this time directly ahead of them. It was as if it had been waiting for them to come closer. On the screen, the shape flickered for a moment, a blur of light and shadow, before it began to move once more. It wasn't quite visible, not in the traditional sense. It was like the ship itself was a distortion in space, bending light and shadow around it. Every time they tried to lock onto it, it slipped from their grasp. Cole's heart rate quickened. "We've got it. All hands, prepare for action. I want everyone at their stations. Lieutenant Klein, full speed ahead." The ship surged forward, its engines pushing the Dominion to its limit. The object was still a blur, but now they were on its tail, closing the distance. "Tracking it, Captain," Klein said, her fingers dancing over the console. "But it's faster than we can keep up." "We're still losing ground." "Not for long," Cole said, his cowboy instincts kicking in. He had spent years chasing down cattle on the rough terrain of his home planet, knowing how to predict movements and anticipate the next step. Space was different, but the principles remained the same. Patience, precision, and above all, understanding the nature of the chase. The object flickered in and out of sight on their scanners like a mirage in the desert, but Cole could feel the tension in the air. Every crew member aboard the Dominion was keyed up, waiting for the moment when they would finally close in on their target. "We're getting closer," Klein said, eyes narrowing as the readings on her screen fluctuated wildly. "It's almost like it's adjusting its speed to match ours." "Adjusting itself?" Cole repeated, his mind racing. It wasn't just avoiding them, it was adapting to them. The object wasn't some mindless piece of debris or a rogue ship. It was intelligent. Before he could issue another order, the object suddenly stopped. It froze in place, its outline shimmering for a brief moment before it disappeared entirely. The crew's collective breath caught in their throats. "It's gone again," Klein said softly, her hands frozen on the controls. Cole stood motionless, staring at the empty space on the screen. His gut told him that this wasn't just a game of hide-and-seek. The object was leading them somewhere. "We're being tested," Cole muttered. "It wants us to follow." "And I intend to do just that." He turned to Klein. "Plot a course." "Wherever it's going, we're going too, but we'll do it carefully." Klein nodded and began plotting a new trajectory. Course set. "But Captain, this is getting more dangerous by the minute. What if it's a trap?" "Then we spring it," Cole said with quiet resolve. "We're in this now. We'll face whatever comes next, but we do it on our terms." The Dominion surged forward again, this time following the last known coordinates of the object. As the crew moved into position, Cole could feel the weight of the decision pressing down on him. This wasn't just about the chase anymore. This was about something far bigger than any of them. The object was not just an enemy or an unknown. It was a key to something the Empire had never encountered, something no one had ever seen before. They followed the object for hours, the silence in the command room almost unbearable as they closed in on the unknown. Each minute that passed only added to the tension, the crew growing more anxious, more alert. Every time they thought they had it, the object would vanish again, slipping through their grasp like water through their fingers. And then, at last, the object slowed down. For the first time, it came to a complete stop. The Dominion followed suit, its engines humming softly as it eased to a halt. "It's here," Klein said quietly, staring at the display. "We've caught it." Cole nodded. "Prepare the boarding teams. We're going in." The silence was deafening. The crew held their breath as the final moments ticked by. Outside, in the cold vacuum of space, the mysterious object waited, its secrets still hidden. "On my command," Cole said. His voice was steady, calm. "Get ready, this is it." The Dominion floated in eerie silence, its engines dimmed to a soft hum. The crew had gone still, their anticipation hanging in the air like a thick fog. Captain Cole stood at the command deck, his gaze fixed on the mysterious object ahead. The chase had led them here, to the heart of the unknown, but now the real challenge began. The object, whatever it was, had come to a stop. It sat in the blackness of space, almost as if waiting for them to approach. Cole's gut told him this was no coincidence. The object had led them here for a reason. But what was that reason? What was it waiting for? "Lieutenant Klein," Cole said, his voice steady but filled with urgency, "set a course for the object." Slow and steady. "Aye, Captain," Klein replied, her hands moving quickly across the controls. The Dominion slowly advanced, closing the distance between the ship and the strange object. The crew's eyes were glued to the scanners, waiting for any sign of movement. But the object remained still, almost mocking them with its stillness. "What's it doing?" Klein asked, her voice laced with confusion. "It's not even showing up on our sensors. It's like it's not even there." Cole's brow furrowed. The object was the most elusive thing he had ever encountered. But it wasn't random. He could feel it. The object was guiding them. It was as though it had a plan, and they were simply following the trail. "Keep scanning," Cole ordered, his eyes narrowing. "It's not gone. It's just hiding." The crew worked in silence, their fingers flying over the consoles as they tried to make sense of the data. But the object defied every known law of physics. It wasn't a ghost ship, and it wasn't an alien vessel either. No, this was something different, something beyond their understanding. Then, without warning, the object began to move again, but this time it didn't dart away like before. It moved deliberately, slowly, almost as if it were inviting them to follow. "Captain," Klein said, her voice shaking. It's coming closer." Cole's heart raced, but his face remained calm. "I want full tactical readiness. Boarding teams, prepare for action." "We might not be able to track it, but I'll be damned if we let it get away again." The Dominion followed the object, its engines pushing the ship forward as the distance between them shrank. For a moment, the object's outline seemed to shimmer and flicker like a mirage. Then, suddenly, it came into full view. A sleek, almost elegant shape, dark and angular, with no visible markings or features. It looked like nothing Cole had ever seen, nothing that belonged to the Empire or any known alien race. "We've got it," Klein said, her voice almost a whisper. "It's right in front of us." Cole studied the object closely, his instincts telling him there was something far more significant here than just a ship. He had spent years chasing outlaws, cattle, and bounties across wild planets. This was not some wild frontier. This was something far more dangerous, far more important. The object wasn't just technology. It was history. Something ancient. "Can we get any reading on its interior?" Cole asked. Klein shook her head. "Nothing, Captain. It's like it's cloaked. We can't get a single scan inside." Cole knew that whatever was inside was the key to unlocking the mystery. "We're boarding. Prepare your teams." The tension in the command room was thick, each person aware that what they were about to do was no ordinary mission. The object had been toying with them, drawing them in with each elusive move, but now it was time to face it head-on. As the crew suited up for the boarding operation, Cole couldn't help but feel a sense of foreboding. The object was far too advanced to belong to any known civilization. It felt as though they were about to step into something that had been hidden from the universe for centuries, something that had been waiting for the right moment to be discovered. With his team assembled, Cole led the way to the airlock. The crew was ready, their weapons checked, their minds focused. They were about to make history, but there was something else in the back of Cole's mind. A question. Why had the object led them here? Why had it waited for them to follow? The airlock opened with a hiss, and the team floated into the unknown. They were in the shadow of the object now, stepping onto its cold, unyielding surface. The outside of the vessel was smooth, like polished obsidian, with no visible seams or ports. It was as if the ship had grown organically, rather than being constructed. There was no door to open, no obvious way to enter. Cole motioned for the team to spread out, their magnetic boots securing them to the surface. "Stay alert," he ordered. "We don't know what we're dealing with yet." They moved slowly, carefully, across the surface, searching for any sign of an entrance. It wasn't until they reached the far side of the object that they found it, an opening, just large enough for them to slip through. The air inside was cold, almost freezing, and the walls were made of the same smooth material as the outside. Cole stepped inside first, his weapon at the ready. The rest of the team followed, their movements cautious and deliberate. The interior of the ship was dark, with only a faint, unnatural glow coming from deep within. As they moved forward, the walls seemed to shift and change, their surfaces rippling like water disturbed by a stone. "We're not alone," Klein whispered, her voice tight with tension. Cole's heart skipped a beat. He could feel it too, the presence of something watching them, something ancient. The air around them grew heavier, as though the very ship was alive. They continued onward, until they reached a large chamber. In the center of the room stood a figure, a shape cloaked in shadows, watching them with glowing eyes. For a moment, no one moved. The figure didn't speak, didn't make a sound. It was simply there, waiting. "What is this?" Klein asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Cole took a step forward, his voice calm but firm. "It's time to find out." The chamber was cold, the air thick with an eerie silence. The glowing eyes of the figure seemed to pierce through the darkness, unblinking and unyielding. It was humanoid in shape, standing tall and imposing, but there was something off about it. Its skin, or whatever it was made of, shimmered and shifted, like liquid metal or energy wrapped in a physical form. The presence of the figure was overwhelming, as though the ship itself was alive, breathing with the entity. Cole stood motionless, his hand resting on the hilt of his weapon, but he made no move to draw it. He knew instinctively that this was not a threat in the traditional sense. It wasn't an enemy soldier or a rogue alien. It was something else, something far beyond the Empire's understanding. The figure remained still, its glowing eyes watching them, as if it were waiting for them to make the next move. The crew stood behind Cole, unsure of what to do next. Every instinct told them to stay cautious, but no one had any idea how to approach this. "What is it?" Klein whispered, barely audible over the hum of the ship's strange energy. Cole shook his head slightly, still unsure. He took a step forward, his boots making a soft noise against the smooth floor. He had faced countless dangerous situations before, but none like this. His mind raced, trying to piece together what this was, who this figure might be, and why it had led them here. As he took another step, the figure's eyes blinked. A ripple passed through the air, and suddenly the figure spoke, not with words, but with thoughts. The voice was inside their minds, clear and sharp, yet calm. "Why have you come?" The words echoed in Cole's mind, but the voice was neither warm nor cold, simply neutral, as though it were asking a question that had been asked countless times before. Cole swallowed hard, his throat dry. He had been trained to handle situations like this, diplomatic talks, standoffs with criminals, battles with enemies, but this was something he had never been trained for. He had no idea how to answer this kind of question. "We followed you," Cole finally said aloud. His voice was steady, despite the pounding in his chest. "You led us here." The figure's eyes shimmered again, a soft glow pulsing in the darkness. "Why?" "I don't know," Cole replied honestly. "We were sent to investigate the Empire." The figure cut him off. "The Empire. You follow orders. But you, human, you are different. You do not seek power as they do. You seek answers. You have traveled far for knowledge." Cole felt a strange sense of recognition, as though this entity understood him, saw him in a way no one else had. His life as a cowboy, a lawman, had been about survival, about doing what was right. But now, standing before this figure, he realized that this mission wasn't about just following orders or earning a paycheck. It was about something far bigger. "Who are you?" Klein's voice cut through the stillness, the question that had been on everyone's mind since they first encountered the object. "What is this place?" The figure's glowing eyes turned toward her, and the air seemed to grow heavier. "This is not a place. This is a memory of a time long gone. A time before the Empire, before your kind even knew the stars." A cold shiver ran down Cole's spine. He knew that what they were standing in front of was something ancient, something that had been lost to the universe for ages. The Empire had no knowledge of it. No one had. And yet here they were, standing before the last remnant of a forgotten civilization. "We were the architects of this ship," the figure continued, its voice echoing inside their minds. "We created it as a vessel of knowledge. But it was forgotten, lost, hidden away from those who would misuse its power." "Power?" Cole repeated, his mind racing. "What kind of power?" The figure's eyes darkened slightly. "The power to create. The power to destroy. To shape the very fabric of reality." Cole's breath caught in his throat. The object they had been chasing wasn't just some forgotten relic. It was a weapon. A tool of unimaginable power, a power that could reshape the galaxy itself. Klein stepped forward, her voice sharp with disbelief. "You mean this ship, it's a weapon? But why show it to us now?" "It has always been hidden," the figure responded, its tone somber. "But it cannot remain hidden forever. The Empire has already begun its search. It will come for what it cannot control. And when it does, it will destroy everything." Cole's heart raced. He understood now. The object wasn't just a piece of ancient technology. It was the key to something far more dangerous. The Empire would want to use it, to dominate the galaxy with its power. But that would only lead to destruction. The figure had led them here to warn them, to give them the choice. The weight of the moment settled on Cole's shoulders. He had been a lawman, a man who had made decisions that affected the lives of many. But this decision was far greater than any he had made before. "What do you want from us?" Cole asked, his voice steady but filled with uncertainty. The figure's eyes glowed brighter for a moment. "You have two choices, human. You can take the knowledge and power this ship holds and use it for your own gain, or you can destroy it. You can choose to keep the power hidden, to prevent those who would misuse it from finding it." Klein looked at Cole, her face filled with confusion and fear. "Captain, what do we do? We can't let the Empire have this. But what if we can use it for ourselves?" Cole's mind raced. He thought of the countless wars, the bloodshed, the suffering. He had seen the greed of the Empire firsthand. He knew what they were capable of. If they gained control of this power, the galaxy would fall into chaos. But could they destroy it? Could they leave it behind, knowing the risk it posed? He turned back to the figure. "We will destroy it. The galaxy isn't ready for this kind of power." The figure's eyes softened, a slight pulse of light radiating from its form. "Then it will be done. But know this. Human, your choice will echo through the ages. The power of the ship will never truly be gone. It will find a way to resurface." Cole nodded, his heart heavy. "We will make sure it stays hidden. The galaxy has enough problems without adding this to the mix." As the figure's presence began to fade, its last words lingered in Cole's mind. "You have chosen well, Captain. The future is yours to shape, but remember, no power is ever truly destroyed." The ship's interior began to hum softly, and the chamber started to shake. The crew quickly retreated toward the exit, their steps hurried but determined. They had made their choice. The power of the ship, the key to unimaginable control, would be lost to time once more. But as they left the ship behind, Cole couldn't shake the feeling that they hadn't just ended something. They had merely delayed it.